Hi there. Welcome back to Robyn Scherer Photography. I'm glad you're here. Today we're going to talk about reclaiming clouds on an image like this. If you shot on a cloudy day and the weather was a little bit wonky as it was here at the beach, this was the only day she could do her session. So even though the weather didn't seem amazing, we went for it and we did get some beautiful images. So let's go through how I would reclaim the sun coming through the clouds and how we would work with this image on this kind of afternoon. So I'm going to put on my preset. I tried this one, I don't love it. I'm going to use my more basic one here. I feel like with the cloudy day it just works better. And from here I'm going to straighten the image through cropping, just so that just doesn't make my eyes crazy with the angles. So I lined up the rule of thirds with the cliff top line here. So I'm going to start there, and I'm going to use my eyedropper and check my white balance. It didn't change it a lot, so it looks like we were kind of right on target. Use your backslash to constantly be checking your sook straight out of camera image. You don't want to do crazy images, crazy edits, and this will help you kind of keep on track. So I'm liking where it is right now. I'm going to lower the exposure a hair, and I will check her skin tone colors here. So you're looking for 85, 78, 68, or if you're checking more of a highlight like I am here, you can see we're kind of on target because you would be looking for 90, 86, 76. If I want to go to more of a mid-tone, maybe here, you can see again we're on target. You want to look for 85, 78, 68, or 75, 65, 55 on your RGB. So keep that in mind. I do have another class on that if you want to watch that video. It does talk about your numbers with skin tones. So we are right on target with her skin tones. So I'm going to leave that. Let's talk about the clouds. So if we grab our masking and our linear gradient, and we bring that down, this is going to affect where the red marking is. So keep an eye on that. So this is going to be a custom linear gradient, and it will remain in your brush toolbox to keep. That way, if you want to work on other images within this set, you will have your clouds linear gradient all set up for you. So let's lower the exposure. We want to reclaim some of those clouds. And we're going to lower some of the highlights and some of the shadows and some of the whites and some of the darks. And so I'm going to pull this down. I feel like it's not affecting this lower sun rays enough. So I'm okay with that. I will bring the exposure a little bit back up, contrast. Now, temperature. You can make it warmer, or you can bring in some of the blues by going down towards the blues here. And then the tint, you can make it a little bit more magenta, a little bit more of the greens. I tend to go a little bit magenta here, and I'm going to bring down the exposure just a little bit. And then with the saturation, now remember this is affecting this area. Saturation, I'll probably increase it. Again, you don't want to get crazy, but if you look at your original, you're just bringing back some of those colors and adding a little bit of drama, which I'm okay with. Now, if you get down to texture and clarity, you can actually make some more changes here. And dehazing will make the greatest change here. So again, go to the extremes, see what you like, see what seems normal, you don't want it crazy. If you double click on that, it will bring it back to 0. I'm going to bring it up just a hair, and then I'm going back up to exposure and bringing it down a little bit. And I'm going to up the highlights a hair. I just didn't like how dramatic that was getting. So now that you've created this linear gradient, if you go to custom here, scroll all the way down, save current settings as new preset. This linear gradient I will call, I'm going to call her Tracy. So Tracy's clouds. And now when I move on to the next image, I can reset this, put on my preset. And if I wanted to, I will just do more of a quick example. I would grab my linear gradient and scroll down to Tracy's clouds. And then when I pull this down, everything I did in the sliders, you can see, are all here. Even the dehaze, clarity. Now, it will affect the image differently depending on your settings of when you took this particular image. So it's not making a huge effect, probably because the exposure is up too high. Now you can see in this one, there's a little bit more sun orange coming in here. So you can play with that. You can maybe grab a brush and maybe say color or saturation. So everything's zeroed out. So you'll take this brush and you'll just brush over this area. And then if you go into saturation, you can, I'm gonna go extreme. It looks crazy, but that's just an example of how you can use this linear gradient and reclaim your clouds and use it on multiple images once you have created it. So if I want to go back to the other image, I actually kind of like this orange more. So from here, I'll go ahead and check her skin tone. So we're at 85, 79, 73, which is close to 85, 78, 68. If you're a couple numbers off, as long as it's not crazy, you can work with it. You could bring up her skin tone and make it a teeny bit lighter with the luminance slider, just a hair, and we're kind of back to perfect, 77, 68, 57, because you would be looking for 75, 65, 55. I'm perfect with that, so I'm going to leave it. Let's smooth out her skin tone with one of my favorite brushes that I've created in the past and use in my arsenal, which is my skin smoothing here. And I'll brush over that lightly. This is a more emotive image. I'm not going to be super specific just so we don't make the video too long. I will touch up her curls here with another brush I've created, which is Texture with Brightness, and I will brush it on. You can see the effect isn't huge. So that doesn't mean you're stuck here. While the brush is on, go ahead and go into exposure and slide it up. Just see where you're comfortable. Obviously that's too much, so I'll bring it back down. So I just want a little bit of a pop, and you can bring up the highlights, you can bring up some of the shadows. That really did a dramatic change, and I actually like it. I'm going to leave it. Check with your backslash sook to where you are. Again, you don't want crazy edits. I probably wouldn't deliver it with the clouds this extreme. I'd make them a bit mild, but I just want you to see what you're capable of with these brushes and sliders. Again, I'm looking at the background. These are lifeguard towers. This is a person. I'm going to grab my healing tool, pop them out. It chose a very acceptable spot. Garbage can. Don't like what it chose, so I'm just going to move it right to where I feel like it's acceptable and makes sense. I feel like it's a little too, so that makes sense to me. Here's another tiny garbage can. I'm going to bring it up into the colors so it matches the background. This is a big dumpster, which I'm not sure why it's still sitting in the middle of the beach, but it is. So if you take the feather down, you get a bigger circle to work with. So in this case, I will. And I don't like what it chose, so I'm just going to move it here. And I'm going to soften the feather. So before, after, before, after. And keep an eye here. Before, after. You want to make sure that it all melds into the background. You don't want it to be a noticeable correction. So backslash. We just kind of cleaned up the background. We left the lifeguard tower. It's a flavor of the beach. We have the beautiful clouds and sun streams. We've smoothed her skin just a little bit and kind of gave her hair a dramatic pop. I'm very happy with the image. Again, I might lighten these a bit before I delivered, or I might leave it. I think it's dramatic and beautiful. It's definitely up to the artist's eye, but I wanted you to see what you can do if you're shooting and you know that there are beautiful clouds, but you don't see them in your images when you load them. If you overexposed a hair, you won't see them as much. It is good if you underexpose a bit when you're shooting at the beach and there's beautiful clouds. That way you can be sure to reclaim everything that you saw with your eye. But this is an example of how to do that. I hoped it helped, and I would love for you to click subscribe and hang out and watch a few other videos. I hope you learned something. Message me if you want to learn something else that I haven't taught yet. Be happy to do it for you. And with that, I leave you. Until next time, have a great day.